This is testimony of a truth teller. Today we're going to talk about something near and dear to me. It's about when my son was born and we found out that he had sickle cell. The lesson that I learned was that you don't always get to choose the assignment, but you do get to choose if you complete it and how you complete it. It's a super crazy life lesson because it's all happened in October of 2012, and that was the year and month that my son Allende was born. We came home from the hospital, and 2 days later we get a phone call from the genetic counselors at Kaiser Oakland. It was crazy because I didn't have any prenatal concerns about my son. And we already had a daughter who was born in Kaiser Oakland, so we really felt like, our son was healthy. We took him home, he was healthy. But we get a call from the genetic counselor, and the genetic counselor says, bring your support system and meet us on this day. So I immediately called my mom. She flies out to Oakland from Los Angeles. Candace calls her parents. It's my wife, Candace. She calls her parents. They come down from Sacramento. We go to this meeting. We spend the next hour and a half receiving what I felt like was a death sentence for my son. We learned about all of the heartache he was going to have, all the health conditions. We learned that he was eventually going to die from this disease if he didn't die some other way. And then when they talked about his life expectancy, and I was doing the math, I realized, because I'm not that much older than my son, a couple of decades, I realized that there is a potential that I would bury my son and my son wouldn't bury me. And that triggered me. So I'm in there crying, feeling like we had no hope. And my mother, she was working in the hospital industry down in Los Angeles. She was working for a hospital, UCLA, and she said, I know that Children's Oakland has one of the best sickle cell clinics in the nation. So we go across to Children's Oakland, no appointment, get in line on the 4th floor, hematology department, and we get to the front of the line. When we get to the front of the line, I went up there and I told the receptionist, hey, I'm not a patient here. My son has sickle cell. We heard you're the best. We really need for you to see us. She looks at me and my insurance card. She said, I'm sorry, you don't have the insurance to be here. You have to get the requisite insurance, and open enrollment is over. So I'm sitting there and I tell the lady, I said, ma'am, all due respect, I can't leave. I can't get out of this line. My son really needs help. She's telling me, no, sir, you do not have the right insurance. So I start to cry. I'm crying and I'm arguing. I'm crying. I'm saying, please just help me. That my son deserves a chance. And we can't wait. We need to be seen here. So as I'm crying and going back and forth, this man comes out of the back room, and he has like this beard. He looks old and majestic, kind of like a Santa Claus, right? Or an angel. And he says, hey, I don't know what's going on. I don't know what insurance you have, but I'll see you. Don't worry about the insurance. I'll see you. And we'll figure the insurance out later. That was Dr. Keith Carolla. So fast forward, we go to our first meeting with Dr. Keith Carolla, and he spends an hour telling me of everything that my son was gonna be, the life that he could possibly have. He gave us hope and not fear. And he told me to focus on what we could do as opposed to what we couldn't do. Dr. Keith Carolla said something that was super impactful, empowering, and not only changed the way that we raised our son, or thought about raising our son, but also how we lived our personal lives. And he said, if you treat Allende, that's my son's name, if you treat Allende like an egg, he will break. Don't treat him like an egg. From that point forward, we never treated our son like an egg. We allowed him to dream any dream he wanted to dream. We allowed him to climb any mountain he wanted to climb. And we were there for him when he miscalculated or did too much or ended up in the hospital. We were there for him because we were not going to treat him like an egg, because he was not going to break on our watch. I say this to say, when I found out that my son had a blood disease called sickle cell. The lie was that life is not fair. My son's going to suffer. We're going to suffer. God didn't love us. There's no way we're going to get through this. My son's going to die before me. That was the lie. God, why'd you give us this assignment? The truth was that God gave us this assignment because we were going to be able to write a hell of a paper. Right? We're going to focus on what we could do. He was propelling us and positioning us as a family, and Allende as a young kid, as a man, as a future leader. He was positioning us to accomplish something that we could not have accomplished on our own. We could have only accomplished it through the prompt that he gave us called life. We don't get to choose the assignment. We just get to choose how we accomplish it. And sometimes the prompt that God gives you the material to write the best paper. And the purpose of this is just to fulfill his purpose. That's the purpose of this. I am proud of my son, and I thank God for sickle cell. I thank God for every piece of adversity that we have faced. Because how we're handling it, I know for a fact, gives him the glory. Because only God could allow us to live the life that we live. Only God could help my son be the man that he is. Only God gets the glory. Church.